FreeSpace Social. I am Kylie Jean, and today I am sitting here with Jack Posobiec. Jack, thank you so much for joining us.
Kylie, I have to say, of all the people, you nailed my last name first try. And ladies and gentlemen, she did not even ask me before we came on this.
You know what? A good host. That's what we do, right?
Well, it's because then you can tell the people who actually listen to my show, or you're just like, just read the name. Just saying.
Well, you know what I was telling you earlier?
Mad props.
Thank you. I'll take it.
Yeah.
One of my favorite things about you is that you are a man of truth, and you're a man of information that's done quickly. You share stories.
I mean, if you actually want to break it down, yeah, that's pretty much the nuts and bolts of it, is that you have to have the receipts and you have to be quick to drop them. And if you don't have that at your fingertips, and there's two types of that, right? There's the types of receipts that you can remember and recall, and then there's also if you know where to find it and find it quickly. And that's one issue, by the way, with the internet right now, is it used to be so easy to find information, and now if you're looking for something that doesn't fit, the narrative, that it's blocked, or it's said, oh, this is fact checked or something. I mean, I got literally just personal example. I got detained when I was at Davos, right, at the World Economic Forum, and these police officers came over and detained us, by the way, for filming, right? Just me pretty much dressed like this, talking to a camera, not even talking to people on the street or interacting with anybody.
Yes.
And they detained me for that.
That is such an overreach.
Total overreach, right? But what was crazy was these guys all had on their arms, I'm a military guy, so we're always looking at uniforms, trying to figure out who it is, and these patches said World Economic Forum Police. So as I'm in detention, I've still got my phone.
Yeah.
And I'm tweeting out, we just got detained by the World Economic Forum Police. And I've got the pictures and the video and everything. So I get that I'm still in detention.
Yeah.
Reuters comes out with a fact check. And they said, fact check, was Jack Posobiec detained by World Economic Forum Police? I said, and I thought, finally, the mainstream is going to come down and they're going to say this is such an overreach, and we may not like this guy and his beliefs and his politics, but man, that this is just so wrong and so egregious. Fact check, false. Jack Posobiec was not detained by the World Economic Forum Police. And I'm looking at the guys and their guns, and I'm pretty sure I can't leave right now. And they're frisking us behind the building, right? Me and my entire crew too. And I said, well, what is false about this? I wrote down, they said, the police officers are assigned to the World Economic Forum. They are not actually the police of the World Economic Forum.
Oh my gosh.
And I'm like, it's like I'm living in some kind of parallel dystopian Twilight Zone, Hunger Games, Brave New World, Huxleyan, Upside Down, Stranger Things, alternate reality, to say, wait a minute, these guys have 9mm semi-automatic rifles that they're using to corral my entire crew, and you guys are worried about,
wording,
semantics.
Yeah. No.
But that's the game. And then because they do this is why they do the fact checks, by the way. And some people say, well, oh, whatever, that's, nobody cares about that. Not true. Because Facebook and Instagram, and YouTube, by the way, if you get quote unquote fact checked, they put a block on that content. And so Don Jr. did a fantastic movie, or a video defending me and saying this is terrible, this is horrible. They put a lock on that, and then you couldn't share it.
Well, and it seems like not only people who have influential followings, but just the normal, average, everyday American who shares their values, they're even getting locked out.
Exactly.
Which we start to hit a very dangerous territory, which you talk about a lot, when the freedom of speech is infringed upon. And one of the things that is so incredible about what you do is that people are seeking out stories to give to you to share, and then you're just living them and seeking them out yourself. You're providing that information to the people in quick, real time, which is necessary. So 100%. How have you had to pivot the way that you shared that information?
Well, so it's tough. I always call it, dancing on the edge of a sword, right? Every day, because Dr. James Lindsay was just permanently banned from Twitter today. This morning, we just got that news in. He was texting me. I said, what was the tweet? And I didn't see anything wrong with the tweet, because they're redefining words now. And they'll redefine a word to say, oh, well, that's anti-whatever protected group, and now I can ban you for using a word. Even, by the way, if you used it in the past, before it meant what they claim it means now.
That's because they're changing dictionary definitions all the time.
All day long.
All the time on us, so that it matches.
Are we in a recession, or are we not in a recession?
Literally, they just changed the definition. Who knows? Well, it's interesting too because you have such a diverse background and you're also a family man. You're leading in so many different areas. The lens in which you're sharing truth, how do you find that to be so pivotal so we don't lose or get more on the teetering edge?
The power of social media has created a new moment and a new opening in society where the gatekeepers have lost their power. And so now you have the ability to disintermediate what the mainstream media narrative is and to punch back and then, and this is key by the way, distribute that with people who are like-minded. This is why they do the fact checks, this is why they do the banning, this is the reason for all of it. Because the most dangerous thing to the mainstream establishment is regular people connecting and sharing information and realizing that, I'm down here in Dallas, Texas right now, and I'm a dirty Yankee from Philadelphia area, right? And you'd think that, we'd be totally different, but you know what, we have the same values.
Yeah.
Because I see crime going up in my country, I see murders going up, we see people pouring across the border, and then they're coming across the border in Texas, and they're coming to Philadelphia.
Yes.
And so we realize that all of these things are happening, all of these changes are happening to our country, and yet they don't want us talking about it.
Yeah.
They want us talking about, whatever the latest Netflix is, or whatever the post the Kardashians had or something, want us totally distracted by all of these things. Whereas, if we are actually sharing true facts about what's happening on the ground, and by the way, so in the military we had this idea of fourth generation warfare and that you can have strategic warfare done on a ground level, and they call it the strategic E4, and I can translate that in English a little bit. What it means is that you can have a random person on the side of the road, anywhere in the world, take a video, and if that video is so powerful, it can be shared now across the world, disintermediate the entire mainstream. I can share it to you, you can share it to your friend in Poland, you can share it to Asia, whatever, right? It's instantaneous. Those networks, and they're not just information networks, they're neural networks. And so, because you're sharing thoughts, you're sharing ideas, you're sharing values, now when we're pumping these videos into them, the power of the mainstream media is completely lost. So because they've lost the power of being able to tell you what's true, now all they can do, now it's just a hammer. Now they've turned it straight into a hammer, and if they don't like what you have to say, they will deny you your ability to affect the world, basically, to have your voice be meaningfully heard in the public space. This is the point of freedom of speech.
Absolutely.
The actual ideal of the First Amendment, it wasn't just about government. It's the idea that political speech can be heard in the public square. Now, in the time of the Founding Fathers, that may have meant a literal, actual town square.
Absolutely.
And our town, and the Founding Fathers, what they had was, guess what? The Stamp Act. And the Stamp Act was, well, the Crown had to come in, and any official publication had to be stamped and had to be approved. So what did the Founding Fathers do? Printing presses. Right? They created their own newsletters, their own newspapers. And when I look at people starting up their social media platforms and they have the ability, so the social media platform is the new printing press, and the new newsletters are timelines. And so people are sharing these out, and when I talk about Thomas Paine's Common Sense, and everybody's heard about that, and how that went into its first printing and it was self-financed, and then people wanted more printings and more printings. That was one of the first American, it was a tract, they called it tracts back then, that went, in its time, you would say, went viral. Right? So it went viral throughout the colonies, everybody shared, hey, have you read this thing? Have you looked at this? It's a totally different twist. The Crown was trying to, if they found you with a copy of Common Sense, they would take you down. You would get arrested, anything else, they would put you away, but they couldn't stop it because it was going, taverns and farms and churches were sharing this and sharing it and sharing it, and it was the power of not just the content, but the distribution.
Absolutely.
And so it was distribution that really led to the birth, and John Adams said this once. He said, people get it wrong when they talk about the American Revolution because they think that the revolution was the war. No, the war came first. The revolution happened in the thoughts and minds of men. That was first, was the revolution of thought, and that never would have happened without the distribution of those ideas and that truth.
And that's so important and key because we all take a place in that distribution. and are powerful because our voices are meant for right now. So what would you say a word of hope is to the average everyday American who lie on two sides of the stream right now? We have people who are filled with hope and excitement, and then we have people who are diminished in hope. What would you give them as a word of encouragement?
Oh, I would just say, I mean, look at events like CPAC, look at the amount of people that are pouring onto social media, the fact that the mainstream cable networks, they're all dying. They're all going the way of the dinosaur. It's the rise of direct point distribution and sharing is going to be the way of the future. When you look at Web 3, and the amazing thing about Web 3.0, because we're getting to there, now you're taking the power even out of big tech.
Absolutely.
Because Web 3, it's direct point.
Yeah.
So it's direct point, it's blockchain, it's peer-to-peer, and I know those are like fancy words, but what it means is that it's regular people sharing it and that no one has control over the network.
Absolutely, and here at FreeSpace, we fully stand behind people coming together and having their voices be heard and be powerful in these conversations unfolding. And Jack, we really appreciate your time here with us today. Thank you for doing everything that you're doing and being a pillar of truth in this time. Make sure that you check out Jack Posobiec on all of his social media. You're not going to want to miss out because information comes quickly and it comes straight to you. Thank you so much for your time today. Thank you.